Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Hogarth's Global Astrology. Know your planets, know yourself, know your nation, know yourself. Apologies for being late. I missed 2 trains. I'm in a flap. Literally, I've got the fan on right now because, as you know, every evening I play a bit of not every evening, every Friday I play a bit of sport, play a bit of tennis and stuff for the health, fitness, blood sugar, all of that kind of stuff. Gosh, there's 163 of you already. I've not even had a chance to even look at the questions. So let's just print them. Let me just print them off. Oh, 2 trains only just, and we got delayed with the bill and everything like that. So then that just basically delayed me by half an hour. So normally I like to leave myself half an hour before the show at the very least to get myself started. So let me think, how am I going to get up your questions? What I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you guys, so then you can see how this works with the questions. For those of you that have been curious about where to leave questions, you're going to actually see where they are. Let's do a new tab. Let's do share. So here you see Google here. Yeah, you probably can see this. Then we go here to YouTube. And then here we go, got Kyle Kalinske and all that. What's this? Breaking Epstein cover-up confirmed. Trump's anti-Zoran. Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Remember, the lunar eclipse is upon the cusp of happening. Today is the 6th of September as I do this, because of course I'm just after midnight, and that means it is happening tomorrow and the day after. So you go here to view channel, and then down here in posts, you see that is where you can leave questions. So just 5 questions here, that's fine. And then what I do is here, I'll do newest first. And then I'm going to select these and print them out. I'm going to do copy. And then I think what I'll do is I'll put that into a Word document, because I find Word allows me to print it. So forgive me, guys, literally just doing a bit of admin here, quite literally. And hopefully that's going to print off nicely. Let's just get this done, and then just do blank document, copy paste. Come on, baby. Hopefully you can still see me. Here are the questions here, and I'm just going to do file print. Let's print that off here. And then what I'm going to do is I have to plug out my mouse and then plug this in. And let's do here, I think it's just going to be 1 page print. And then hopefully there'll be some clicky clunky stuff going on in the background. And then let's go back into, hopefully I'm still showing. Yes, did you guys see me? Hopefully you didn't vanish. So there are the questions here. And that is basically how one gets the questions. It's just printing off now. And then we're going to dive in. What's this? Someone's saying here, what's this they're saying? What? Tylenol causes autism. That's what someone's written here. Here are the physical questions. And then let's plug that out, get my mouse in. So apologies, folks. Normally, of course, this stuff will be done in advance. That's what the half hour is for. Let's do, well, I still got the presentation up here. Let's do, what's going on? Oh, there we are. Voila. All right, so we're back. What's this? Someone's written here. Look here. Lynn has written, what Tylenol causes autism, please? What say you? Thanks, Hogarth. What is that? Is that a news story that is breaking? What someone's saying here, KN saying ridiculous to take issue with cartoon-like nudity on cards. I've seen more on YouTube itself with humans. Yeah, So that's why I've illustrated over my tarot cards, because yeah, the YouTube algorithm. Do you remember Lena? She got pulled up for that. They accused her of spreading pornography. Yeah, mind you, her cards are a bit more explicit than mine, but I mean, come on, it's just ridiculous, isn't it? So let's see what questions have come in. Wonder if Donald J. Trump paid off U.S. attorney. So this is Jill for the Southern District, Florida, 2008. Nick Minks, Chinese President Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin have been overheard discussing organ transplants as a mean of prolonging life on the sidelines of a military parade. Oh, of course they would be into that. Let's see here. Well, you said the eclipse would shake leaders. Angela, oh, yeah, of course, Angela Rayner forced to quit. Deputy PM role due to tax evasion. Yes, I've only just found out about that. So Angela Rayner, for those that don't know, she is a British politician, and she was the deputy of the Labour Party, yeah, with Sir Keir Starmer being the prime minister. She was deputy prime minister, yeah, so it's a massive role. J.D. Vance occupies the equivalent role in America. And then Lavan, what's this? Lavan Gala says, hi, Hoagie, hearing about the Venezuelan boat being blown up by Hegseth et al. This is absolutely breaking international law. You keep mentioning Jupiter going to Cancer will signal the beginning of the undoing of Duck Larange and company. Not just that, it is the reality check for everyone. I said, when Jupiter goes into sidereal Cancer, where it becomes exalted, enlightenment, between the 18th to the 19th of October 2025, I said the illusions, people are not going to be able to pretend anymore. Yeah, even Fox News, no one's going to be able to pretend, because what Trump is doing is so horrific and so ridiculous and so over the top. Just putting my phone on airplane mode. You know, if he's destroying the economy, he's destroying the economy. How much longer are MAGA going to pretend that the prices aren't going up? Like, really, like, this delusion just has to end. And it is ending, and it's going to end in spectacular fashion. So Jupiter is part of that. But for Trump, or for all Leo rising, Jupiter is the 8th house lord. Whichever is the 8th house lord in a person's chart, it's always a tricky planet. It can bring transformation. It can bring revelations. It deals with other people's money, but it can also be a death-inflicting planet as well. And Saturn is going through Trump's 8th house, yeah, of death, transformation, scandals. Look, all the Epstein stuff that keeps coming. The lunar eclipse is boosting that. And then by transit, Jupiter, when it goes into sidereal Cancer, which is where Trump's Saturn, Venus, and Pluto sits, Jupiter is going to stop literally on Trump's Saturn. It's going to be hovering around 0 to 1 degrees, but it will hit. Trump's Saturn is at 0 degrees and 48 minutes of sidereal Cancer, and Jupiter's going to be on it for at least a few weeks in December. So it's, you know, that's the Lord of the 8th in the 12th, which deals with what? Endings, hospitals, prisons, exile, retiring. Yeah, I just don't think it's got long around. Anyways, Sylvia's also said, hi, Hoagie, I'm having a very hard time believing the honest intentions of Marjorie Taylor Greene. Almost everybody's praising her efforts and supporting the Epstein survivors, saying she will personally read every name on the Epstein list. I'm feeling that she is acting as a Trojan horse for Duck Larange and will slap everybody in the face as soon as she receives either an redacted information or DOJ, or do something to the list. This is a long question. Do something to list Epstein survivors were put together. My gut feeling tells me MTG cannot be trusted. What do you think? I'm not saying she can be trusted. You remember I did do the caveats in my show. I said, look, you know, I'm not, you know, this doesn't excuse all of her douchebaggery that she's done in the past, but she's reading the room, and on this occasion, she's making sure she's on the right side of history on this one. And do you remember how I warned you guys? I said, well, iHip News warned us, and they said, if the Democrats do not step up, then Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to step in and fill the void. And she's already doing this. Remember, she talks a lot with Steve Bannon and stuff like that. So, you know, remarkable times. And she knows that Duck L'Orange is not going to be around forever. Okay, let's see where to start first. Let's look at President Xi Jinping and Putinshka. Yeah, let's look at them. Let me drink a bit more of my water. All right. So Nick Mink says, Chinese President Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin have been overheard discussing organ transplants as a means of prolonging life on the sidelines of a military parade in Beijing. Putin was supposedly extremely ill. I think she's supposed to write here. Does this imply some leaders are using experimental treatments to try and cheat death? Of course they are. Yeah, of course they are. These people, they want to live forever. They want to rule forever. They're probably, this is where all of these hidden billions of money is going, because they're probably looking to see how they can get themselves cryogenically frozen and get their consciousness uploaded to the cloud, like what Elon Musk is talking about. They don't want to ever give up power. They don't want to ever let go. They don't want anyone to have anything. Yeah, this is what we're seeing now. This is why there needs to be term limits on people in power. You know, there needs to be a limit, an age limit on how old you can be to be a president, because of this very same reason. They just sold out to the wealthiest people in the world, who are obviously older because they've had time to accumulate assets. I'm not talking about ordinary people, but anyway, let's pull some cards on this. Xi Jinping and Putin allegedly discussing organ transplants to prolong their lives. What's that energy all about? Yeah. This is what I thought. Look at this. Yes, they are researching it. Yeah, they're going deep within themselves. Well, not within themselves, within their agencies. They are asking, you know, scientists, researchers. Yeah, remember the Hermit also talks about not only introspection, but also talks about research, discovery, finding evidence. So they will have probably their own private teams of scientists and stuff that are specifically looking at, you know, how to prolong life. Think, for example, with Putin. Do you remember everyone was looking forward to I think the bluer light is better. Looking forward to the demise of Putin. Do you remember? And he was looking very sick. And I said, look, he's had an operation. He's clearly recovered. Yeah, people talk about body doubles and all this stuff. And it's true, he does have body doubles. But he does not using the body double for Xi Jinping and Narendra Modi and Kim Jong-un. Yeah, he knows these people. He wants to meet them in person. You know, he's going to use his real body. He will use that for lesser things, or where maybe there's a bit more danger, or someone to stand on the balcony. Probably being used more at home in Russia, to be honest. Anyway, but look, they've got researchers on it. They are looking into it. Of course they are. Why? Here we've got the 9 of Wands, because they feel embattled. Yeah, they're getting older. As we get older, we feel the passage of time. We feel, our bodies, are not as flexible, not as young as before. We're gaining in wisdom, ideally, but we don't have that vitality of youth. And also as well, if you think, particularly with Putin, he's been literally very embattled. This can be the card that talks about war and conflict and trying to get through. So, of course, he's feeling tired himself. Yeah, no wonder he's talking about organs and stuff. They're probably talking about regrowing their own organs in the lab. Yeah, so they don't have to deal with the rejection and the medications and all of this kind of stuff. If we look here, we've got the 4 of Cups, which is also a card of reflection and contemplation. So when you actually look at this together, do you see they're contemplating the options on the table, not liking the options, because, of course, You know, maturing is a one-way street. You know, we can preserve what we have, and we can look after what we have. Obviously, Putinska's not abused his body in really quite the same way that Trump has. You know, they're throwing everything they can, the kitchen sink, and probably potions and all sorts of spells to try and keep him alive. Yeah, because he's been on the uppers and downers for years, which of course has completely knackered his heart. Putinska is not in the same position, nor is Xi. Xi looks very healthy. I think that they're both in their 70s now. Obviously, a little bit younger than Trump, but they're all part of that Pluto Gandanta, which means drowning, in the sign of Cancer. I think particularly Xi Jinping and Putin have that combination. Yeah, Pluto's what? Plutocracy, power. If we look here, we can see they may even be consulting either religious or even quasi-spiritual means. Yeah. Of course, the Hierophant can talk about government. Yeah. So, of course, we can be talking about government people, but it can also talk about traditions, institutions. In the case of Putinska, this, of course, would be the Russian Orthodox Church. For the case of Xi Jinping, this will be the CCP, which is effectively, even though they're not religious, it is the religion, as it were, of modern China. Yeah. But this can also talk about consulting spiritual means, prayers, etc. So they may even have people praying for them, helping them with their health and all of that kind of stuff. If we look here, it's almost like they're trying to avoid this, yeah, judgment, yeah, trying to avoid judgment day, prolong it, delay it, yeah. This is what they're not liking, the options on the table. They all know that they've done sketchy things. I mean, look at Trump trying to, grift to get into heaven. But this is literally the judgment card. So I think what it is, they want to try and stay alive, not only because they enjoy the power, but they also want to avoid judgment. That's how I'm interpreting that. Hope you found that interesting. That was quite intriguing, that, wasn't it? Let's just do, so that was Xi Jinping there. Yeah, let's look at a bit at Angela Rayner and the eclipses and see what else is going to be emerging here. So Nick Minks again. There was only 5 questions today, and she's put in 3, and then there's Sylvia, Lavangula, and Jill. All right, so she says, well, you said the eclipse could shake leaders, yeah? Not only that, K2 is going through, K2, snip, snip, is going through sidereal Leo. And you would remember, guys, I said, this is going to mean the end of leaders in the world, yeah? Unless they are spiritual leaders. Spiritual leaders are going to get a boost. Yeah, so people that are encouraging enlightenment, spirituality, prayer, meditation, astrology, tarot, people that are in leaders of the spiritual spheres are likely to get a boost, yeah, because K2 is a very spiritual planet. But Leo is the sign of leaders. So Angela Rayner is gone. Yeah, she got done for tax on her property. She's basically, she didn't pay enough capital gains tax. And she said, well, the agency made a mistake. I know it should have been, I paid 30,000 and it should have been 70,000 and blah, blah, blah. But it seems like she wasn't exonerated, or as they say in politics, if you become the story, it's time to resign. Look at this, what's at the base of the deck. This talks about a wealthy woman, yeah, who has everything at her means and disposal. This could also talk about Angela Rayner and her life. She bought a property, I think down on the coast, wasn't it? British viewers, you'll know which one. It begins with an H. It's just gone out of my head, but apparently this property was £800,000, which of course is really getting into $1 million if you're looking at American money. So let's just see here. Angela Rayner, forced to quit deputy PM role due to tax evasion. Will the shake-up of positions in UK government mean Labour becomes more stable, or that reform get support with, which is a concern? Okay. Will this harm or improve the Labour Party? And let's see what's going on, if it would help reform. which is further to the right of politics in the UK. Call it the Downton. It's the Downton Abbey version of MAGA in a way. I mean, Farage bag he's a banker. Again, like you've got all these rich people pretending to be working class. It's just bullshit, and people buy it. People buy it, you know. Well, this is interesting. The cards have literally told the story. Literally. Here we go. Here's Angela Rayner getting what? A bit of justice here. Yeah. There was a decision that was made. The justice card can literally talk about legal decisions. I also associate it with contracts as well, legal binding contracts, that kind of thing. She signed a contract with a trust fund, which was supposed to manage everything. And she said they made the mistake, whatever. Doesn't matter. The judge spoke. And this can talk about a legal judgment in your favor usually. But here, this is really talking about the judge that would have declared, sorry, yeah. Cold read for me. I don't know if it will. Either way, justice has been done. Do you see? Quite literally, there is justice. What was it about? Look, in the obstacle position, it's the Knight of Pentacles, which can talk about what? Money. This can also be known as the slow, loyal knight. But the Pentacles will talk about values, will talk about money. This was a slow-moving case, yeah? It wasn't like she was, you know, putting money overseas and stuff like that. This was Hastings. That's where I think her house was. And, but yeah, she got caught out there. Yeah, didn't quite pay the tax. It was a bit too slow. If she was quicker, if she'd mended the issue more quickly, she probably could have kept her job. Anyway, but if we look here, look, we got the Chariot card, things moving at pace, things moving at speed. This might be a little bit of a boost temporarily for Labour. This could be Sir Keir Starmer just kind of moving on. I think David Lammy now has her job. David Lammy used to be the Foreign Secretary, and now he's the deputy leader of the Labour Party. So yeah, Sir Keir Starmer's like, right, draw a line under that. Yeah, drive over the body. However, there could be a few more surprises coming out of the woodwork for Labour. We are in the eclipse season, so it's likely there's going to be more revelations or surprises. And then if we look here, we can see the 10 of Wands, which is talking about burden, a sense of overwhelm, yeah, working too hard. But this also talks about efficiency as well. I have a feeling that this might be Rachel Reeves here trying to figure out what on earth she's going to do for the autumn budget, because the UK economy, of course, is not doing that great. Surprise, surprise. This is what happens when you separate yourself from, you know, what is essentially 40% of your income, you know, via Europe. Look, these things, you know, I accept the results of things, but you need to have things backed up. Yeah. You don't just jump into a Brexit, you know, without a plan. Yeah. Where's all these trade deals and stuff? Yeah, we've got a trade deal with America and stuff now, but look at that. Years and years later, after much damage has been done to the UK economy, and Trump is a lunatic. Yeah, absolute lunatic. But this is what happens. It reduces your options. Yeah, reduces your options, reduces your spending power. And of course, all of the problems that they said, oh, well, this is going to end immigration. No, rubbish. We've got more, even more than what was there before. So, which is what I said to people. No one believed me at the time, of course. I said, this is folly. It's folly. It's not going to have the effect that you think it is. But if you don't hear, then you must feel, yeah, as they say in the Caribbean. Let's see who's in the chat here. Sorry, I forgot to bring you guys in. Oh, look here. So what's Marvel here? Marvel's saying, Stephen Miller and his running of the White House. What about his fate with the Bard? Oh, yeah. Well, the Bard doesn't do his fate, but it will give the opinion. Teresa Springs, Super Sicker, thank you so much for your donation. Yeah, let's see what the Bard thinks of Stephen Miller. I think we did do him a few weeks ago, but he's so horrible. He's just so horrible. We can do him again. Let's see here. What does the Bard think of Stephen Miller? The Golem, that's what I call it. For me, he's just a Golem. Horrendous person, horrendous. Just going to lead America to ruin. I need to stop there. How many times does this come out? This is so interesting. Well, I'll just say it here. It says here, is that side? It's hard to tell with that italics. I'm going to say bide. Bide not thy poison with such sugared words. Yeah. Yeah. And then on the next page it says, if thou speakest false upon the next tree, thou shalt hang alive till famine cling thee. A few people have got that. So it is, but again, it's, I think it means hide. Hide, that's it. Yeah, hide not thy poison with such sugared words. Well, he's not even saying sugared words, but it's all about the language with him. It's all about the rhetoric. I mean, he's a beastly, nasty piece of work. Let's see who is here. Someone says it's not true, but I don't know what they're responding to. Susie saying, I'm here, Huggy, love you, bunches. Oh, thank you, much appreciated, much appreciated. Let's see who else is here. Astro Chick says that lunatic renamed our Department of Defense to Department of War. Oh God. Oh, we can't wish for death, you know, but my God, Saturn. Oh, swing the axe, please. Anyway, let's just, I can't believe I said that. October, yeah, October. We'll see. We'll see what happens when that Jupiter, Lord of the 8th, stands right on top of Trump's natal Saturn in the 12th. We see if he can outlast that one. I'm not sure about that. Let's see here. Let's just see here. Oh, let's look about Venezuela. So Lavangala says, hi, Huggy. Hearing about Venezuelan boat being blown up by Hegseth et al. This is absolutely breaking international law. You keep mentioning Jupiter going into Cancer. That will signal the beginning of the outgoing of Duck L'Orange and company. I'm not so sure company, definitely him. Considering Jupiter rules things from other countries, what are the chances that international courts will come a knocking for the thugs masquerading as our government? I know that's what people want to hear, like, oh, internationally, The Hague is going to come in, and no, it's not going to be like that. It's not going to be like that. Do you remember when I did a few readings on this? I said the world will decide what happens to America by it not trading with them. I mean, we're already seeing the consequences. Look, Xi Jinping, Putin, India and North Korea all together at the military parade. So two of the most populous nations on earth and their leaders, combined with the leader that has got the biggest landmass spread on earth. That's the world right there. And then, of course, Kim Jong-un had to be invited along, and he came along in his bulletproof train. Do you know what I mean? Sends a strong message. This is the American voter has to stop voting for these types of people. Trump told them, he said, I don't like you. I just want your vote. That should have ended. You can't say things like that in the UK. You say that in the UK, your career is over. Yeah. Angela Rayner, yeah, Deputy Prime Minister, she made a mistake, or we don't know if it was a known mistake, but she made a mistake on her tax. She didn't quite pay the right amount of tax. She did not pay no tax. She just didn't pay the right amount. She's gone. She's gone. In UK politics, like you slip up too much, you are out. Even Boris had to go, because it's about integrity. You have to walk the walk, not only talk the talk. And I'm not saying, look, Britain's not perfect. Our economy is up the spout as well, to be honest, because of just some dumb moves, incompetence. Even with the Brexit, they could have still tried to make it work, which they have not. Yeah, it's just incompetence. But, you know, you go too double standard over here, you get the chop. Just like the other woman from Labour minister, she was the minister for homelessness. She had tenants and stuff. She kicked out her tenants and jacked up the rent, thinking no one would notice. People noticed. The second the story broke, she was gone within the hour. Out. Yeah. Because people just won't stand for it. You will just get voted out at the next local election or whatever. Like, you are done. Transgress the British voter too much, you are toast. And this is why Labour and Conservatives are scrambling, because a Farage bag is ahead in the polls. He's got more of a lead than Labour and Conservatives combined. That is worried. If he repeats that at the general election, he'll be Prime Minister. So they have to win the argument. They have to act. They have to do stuff, you know, otherwise psh, 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 psh. Labour were given a chance. They've been turned out to be even worse than the Tories, which is astonishing. Anyway, so let's see here. Venezuela, considering Jupiter, what are the chances of international courts will come a-knocking for the thugs masquerading as our government? I think it unlikely, but let's just see. Will they face justice? Will this regime face justice? Once Duc Larange, though, is gone, they lose that protection of his voodoo. Yeah, remember I said, you remember I said for ages, I said, J.D. Vance is Trump's most hidden enemy. Measuring up the curtains. Do you see there when Trump was, you know, struggling to talk, and he's like looking around thinking, oh, me and my wife can dance in this ballroom. Or maybe he's like, I could dance in this ballroom in a big gown and wear as much makeup as I like, you know, because he was the failed drag queen, wasn't he? Anyway, let's see. International things. Will these people face justice? Honestly, that's probably what he's thinking of. In the ballroom, wearing a big Cinderella gown and a big tiara on his head while no one's looking. Yeah, once Duc Larange is 6 foot under or cremated or what have you, doesn't have long to wait, really, does he? Let's have a look. It's all about Trump, really. If we look here, there is an element, once he's gone, a lot of them are going to try and move to smoother waters, yeah? Because look, let's just be honest. Eclipses are about revelations. Quite a lot of the Democratic Party are hardly covering themselves in glory right now. Look how they're treating Mamdani. Did you see that guy the other day who just says, oh, what did he say? The social Democrats need to create their own party. Like, you know, I want to swear, yeah, but this is outrageous. Anyway, but this regime, once Duc Larange is gone, they're going to try and scurry for smoother waters, the douchebags, because they've got partnerships and agreements, yeah, possibly even things abroad, yeah. You know, I associate the lovers with imports, exports. It has a lot to do with trade, agreements, contracts, yeah, business as well. It's not just marriage, well, at least not for me anyway. So this is talking about their relationships. So they're likely, once Duc Larange is gone, if the heat comes up for them, they're going to try and flee to smoother waters and possibly places abroad. Yeah. We see here, you still have the institutions, the legacies, you know, the wealth that they've been hoarding and wanting to hold on to. That's part of it. But you see here as well, with the 7 of Cups, you know, complete delusion. This is not only the most incompetent, this is a cacostocracy, but they are highly, highly deluded. Being incompetent is one thing, but being crazy and incompetent at the same time, that's quite something else. They're crazy, yeah? And who's the one that's the most crazy? Duc Larange, yeah? As you know, I have come to associate the star, particularly with, when we're talking about politics, with the narcissist, yeah? Lights, camera, action. This talks a lot about Duc Larange as well. But it also talks about this narcissistic mindset that they have. J.D. Vance is probably going to try and step into this. Let's just see. Let's just see. How will J.D. Vance perform as narcissist in chief once Duc Larange is no longer around? Let's have that as a clarifier. These people, they're just so diabolical, aren't they? So diabolical. Well, oh, I've got to put a... Okay. Let's just see. 1 second. I need to pull a couple of more to get clarity on that. Yeah. All right, here we go. So JD Vance, yeah. If he comes, well, he obviously is going to come in because he's what? He's deputy. So unless something very unusual happens, unless there's a scandal of such ginormous proportions that people pull their fingers out and actually do something, which is unlikely because there doesn't seem to be enough political will on the Democrat side to actually do it, because obviously some of them are implicated in the files as well. But anyway, putting that aside, JD Vance is going to feel like he is king of the world. Yeah, if once he becomes a deputy, he's going to try and do as much, everything in his power. He's measuring up the curtains already, like I said, and putting Vaseline on the steps, especially the steps that lead up to the roof of the White House and the edges of the White House as well. Yeah, he is hungry for it. This is also talking about his ambition. This is also a card that I associate with Elon Musk and the tech oligarchs as well. Wow, 900 of you right now. Thanks so much. If we look here in the obstacle position, we literally have the card that represents democracy itself. Yeah, it's almost wanting to create it in his own image and stuff like that. We know he's not pro-democracy, otherwise he wouldn't be showing up in the obstacle position. If we look here, it's going to be collaborating, scheming. Yeah, look, if you look here, you've got the book here. That's Project 25. Yeah, Project 2025. That's it. He has been commissioned by these people to do the work. Yeah, he wrote the foreword to Project 2025, very involved in it. And he is not to be trusted. Yeah, so this is the plan, the collaboration. Yeah, to do what? They're there for their money. Yeah, obviously they want the money. They want to do things with the economy. I think this is also talking about the deficit and, you know, taxes for the rich and all of that stuff, messaging. But then look, the outcome card here is impoverishment. Yeah, so their goal is they are just enemies of the people. They are absolute enemies of the people. And unfortunately, those that you know, voted for Trump, either for the economy or they just completely ignored or whatever. This is heavy karma, guys. Heavy karma. Saturn does not hold back. Yeah, when it comes to these things. So I'm not seeing. I didn't see any justice card or any tower or anything like that. Because look, we need to be seeing this action now. Yeah, the Democrats need to be stepping up now. Obviously, we got AOC, Bernie Sanders, you know, the usual, trying their best. You got Mamdani fighting for his life here. Apparently, Trump is going to stand down the guy that's in New York. What is he? You know, the black guy in New York who's the current mayor. They're going to stand him down so that, what's his name, can run as an independent. What's it? Oh, God. The Italian one, the one who used to be the mayor of New York, Cuomo. There you go. It shows you just how corrupt it is. It's so corrupt. Pluto in Capricorn, guys, as you know, I've been talking about for years. Yeah. Anyway, let's just see here. Let's look. We'll do Marjorie Taylor Greene and then we'll look at Donald J. Trump. So Sylvia says, hi, Hoagie. I'm having a very hard time believing in the honest intentions of Marjorie Taylor Greene. Remember, I read out a bit of this earlier in the show. Almost everybody is praising her efforts in supporting the Epstein survivors, saying that she will personally read every name on that Epstein list. She probably will, actually, because it's politically expedient for her. I have the feeling that she is acting as a Trojan horse for Duck L'Orange and will slap everybody in the face as soon as she receives either a redacted information by the DOJ or do something to list the Epstein survivors, will do something to the list that Epstein survivors will put together. Well, that's going to be their independent list, so that's going to be a bit difficult for her to do, anyone else to do, in fact. My gut feeling tells me that MTG cannot be trusted. What do you think? So let's just read on that. Look, we know that she's done a lot of douchebaggy, but let me just say this. For someone of her prominence, what we need to remember, Marjorie Taylor Greene is the darling of MAGA. Yeah, she's their prom queen. Yeah, you got Laura Loomer, the lunatic, but she is their prom queen. And irrespective of all the other stuff, I'm not saying I like her because I don't, but what she said resonated, and she said the right thing. And she talked about how the shame is not with the victims, it is with the perpetrators and the rich and the powerful that have exploited them, which really was a direct slap in the face for Donald Trump. As I said, do you remember I was saying that? And then Laura Loomer came after her. Yeah, they were showing it on iHip News. So, but of course, doing that, it doesn't absolve all of the crazy that she's done. But listen, she knows Duck Larange is on the way out. Otherwise, she wouldn't have made such a statement. He is focused on trying to stay alive right now. He doesn't have enough energy or time to prosecute or go after Marjorie Taylor Greene. He doesn't. And everyone knows he's in the Epstein files. And I think it was just announced that, you know, they've just named his name. She knows he's toast. What's the point? What if for her politically? What is the point aligning herself so closely with a man that she knows is toast? And I think she's got some skin in the game as well. We don't know what's happened with her in her past. She certainly picks her battles. But if you are going to pick one, this is the right one to pick because she knows this also resonates deeply with the base. And when Duck Larange is gone, you know, they're going to need a new figure to kind of rally around. And she's positioning herself. So she said the right thing and has put herself on the right side of history because you have to support, we have to support the victims, regardless of where the voices come from. What they experienced was so horrific. No one has been speaking up for them. No one until now. Yeah, the lunar eclipse comes. So she needs a little plaudits for that. The reason why she's getting so much praise is because she hit the nail on the head. And she basically called out Trump in all but name. It doesn't absolve her, like I said, from all of the past stuff that she's done. The way she's harassed, you know, the survivors of, you know, the gun shootings in the school, and what she said, you know, with a racist rhetoric and all of that kind of stuff. But she is standing up with the victims. Let's see if she delivers. Yeah, if she continues. But she's smelling the political blood in the water and she's positioning herself. Of course, it's not just ulterior. It's not just out of the goodness of her heart. She sees an opportunity to position herself as well. And so does Steve Bannon, who is obviously giving her advice and stuff like that. He knows Trump is toast. He knows, you know, they probably put a heart stent in there or, you know, whatever. To keep him going. I think there's something like some wires up the side, wasn't there? Anyway, Marjorie Taylor Greene, what's going on with her? What's her shtick? Is she going to get out of this? What is she going to get out of this? Some motives. Some motives. Let's take a look. Oh my goodness. Wait till you see this, guys. My God. You will not believe her cards. Leaky douchebag blowhard, man. She's got some tricks up her sleeve. I give you that. Give her that. Yeah, she's not as dumb as she makes out. Anyway, look here. Yeah, she's celebrating behind the scenes. She's like that. Oh, you know, Duck Larange is. Remember, she, with her position, like everyone else, has got privied information. Of course, they know what's going on. She's celebrating, yeah, behind the scenes, not for the victim, not for what happened to the victims, but because she knows this is her time. This is her chance. If we look here, she is seizing the moment. Yeah, look, she's seized the moment. She's seen an opportunity. Yeah, and she's charging forward with what? Energy, power, a little bit of spite as well. But look, she's seen the opportunity here. She's on the attack. In the middle, she is going to present herself as family values and all of this stuff. Yeah, she's selling it to the base. Yeah, selling it to the base, selling herself to the base. Yeah, as the paragon of virtue. Here, Ace of Clubs, which is a yes card. Yeah, she's this is about what? A brand new start, fresh new opportunities and stuff. She's seizing the opportunity. That's what it is. She's seizing the opportunity for what? Fertile new beginnings, initiating projects. And then her outcome card is, look, the Empress. She gets the frigging Empress. I have to say what I see. This, what is the Empress? It talks about what? A very powerful and influential woman. Yeah. That's what it is. So she's going to be using that. This can also as well talk a bit about Russia as well, but I don't think it is in this instance. I think it's representing her ambitions to potentially, she might even want to be the first female leader of the United States. I bet you any money. So what she's going to do is she's going to present, yeah. She's going to, because she knows this is an opportunity for her to put forward things about values and virtue, yeah. But here in this card with the 10 of Cups, it's like it's a little bit too good to be true. We know what the GOP like anyway. They don't believe in families and children. Otherwise, they wouldn't be constantly lobbying for guns, would they? But basically, she's happy that Trump is on the way out. Yeah, she can barely contain herself. She sees and she's going forward aggressively to seize the opportunity. She's going to present a perfect image of virtue. But really, she's taking this action moment here. She's like, right, time for a fresh new start because ding dong, the witch is almost dead. And then she's like, this could be an opportunity for me to become Empress. Yeah. There. It's so clear, isn't it? It's so clear. Gosh. Oh, God, these people. What's this? Let's scroll down. Yeah, someone's saying to shock his heart back. Yeah. And then let's scroll down here. Oxford just listened to her latest, looking for an up conversation with Dr. Lee now. People just talking about the chat. And then someone says here, KN's saying, I thought MTG meant to reveal all the survivors' names. We'll see what she does, but she's hitting two birds with one stone. Someone says, Sherry, MTG, such garbage, can't stand her, fake and rude. And then someone saying, Anrad, he's so desperate. The Duck Orange held as stages billionaires luncheon, having Zuckerchild get caught on a hot mic saying, I don't know what to say, so I just made the shit up. Wow, just like the duck. Look at that. These people, you know, everyone thinks they're so intelligent, that they're so clever. They're not. They're not. They're not geniuses. They have very intelligent people working for them. But they are just, you know, people that have been able to exploit opportunities and then just take it to the nth degree and then use their money to basically BS their way around the world. All right, let's read the next question here. So this is coming from Jill. Wondering if DJT, Donald J. Trump, paid off U.S. Attorney for Southern District of Florida in 2008. Alexander Acosta, who then negotiated the controversial plea deal for Jeffrey Epstein that allowed him to avoid federal sex trafficking charges. Instead, Epstein pleaded guilty to lesser state-level prostitution charges in Palm Beach. So the question really has come at the start, wondering if Donald Trump paid off U.S. Attorney of Southern District of California. Let's see. Did Trump pay him off? And then we'll do a bit of a read on Trump's health. See where that's going. See if he's been fitted with one of those heart thingies. I think Libby was looking at that, wasn't she? She got the 3 of Swords for him, literally the heart pierced. But let's see. Did Donald Trump bribe? I mean, for him, I mean, bribes are like drinking water, aren't they? Trump bribe. Florida, 2008. Did he bribe? Did he bribe? God, I'm getting JD Vance in my mind's eye. He is licking his lips like a fox eyeing the chicken coop. I'm not so sure. It doesn't seem to be talking that much about that. I think this was more, maybe not bribe, it may have been more to do with blackmail. Yeah, why do I say that? Oh, look, over 1,000 of you now. Wow, thank you so much. That's a record for me, you know. And please be sure as well to like and subscribe and share and press the bell notification. Some people are not getting notified, so make sure you press the bell notification. All right, so if we look here, yeah, Duck L'Orange, did he bribe that attorney? Yeah, 2008. Now, wait a minute. When did he come down the escalator? He came down the escalator in 2015, didn't he? Anyway, this is not really a card of bribery, the Queen of Cups. This is more to do with secrets. Yeah, so if he was involved, it was probably more to do with secrets or dirt that he had on someone. Yeah, something like that. However, though, if you look here, we've got the Four of Wands, which talks about the White House, which can talk about his ambitions, his long-held ambitions for the White House. I think he attempted 2 times before. He actually won the nomination, wasn't it? Was it 2? Was it 2 or 3 times before? It may have been 3rd time lucky for Trump. I know he tried twice before, but anyway, so that was that. He wasn't liking the options on the table at the time. Yeah, wasn't liking the options on the table, was deciding what to do. But he was cultivating his ambitions, yeah, wider ambitions, looking out to the world, whatever it was he was doing in 2008. We also had the subprime mortgage market and all that stuff was exploding. He was probably doing his stuff with Russia and whatever he was that he was doing. And here we see the laying of a foundation. Yeah, this is the 8 of Pentacles, which talks about working towards something studiously. So what I'm going to say is this seems like this was part of a foundation for him to ascend to the presidency. I think it was just something he dealt with at the time. I'm not really seeing bribery there. This is more to do with kind of secrets, not wanting secrets and stuff like that to be exposed. Or maybe he may have had some dirt on someone and got them to step down. Yeah. So that's all I can see there with the cards. But, you know, you guys watching might have different views. All right. So the time is whistling by. I think we should close with a read on, so what is it? What was the subject today? Marjorie Taylor Greene, we covered. Trump, Epstein. What else? Laura Loomer. She's not even worth even talking about. Not even worth talking about. I was going to line up some video clips from other channels, which basically validated what I was saying, but there wasn't time. There wasn't time. Let's look at Trumpy Dump's health. Yeah. Let's see what's going on. Has he been fitted with some kind of heart stent, something? We know Saturn is doing a great job of going through his 8th house of scandals, sex, death, rock and roll. Yeah, the Epstein stuff, it's not going away. Even tried to fly the planes over to distract. Yeah, do you remember that? Trump's health, what's going on? Has he had mini strokes and all of this kind of stuff? Stuff in the heart. If we see the 3 of Swords come up, then he definitely had surgery. Yeah. Let's see if anything else like that comes up. 4 of Swords can talk about health, of course. 5 of Pentacles. Let's see. Trump's health. Did he have an operation? Did he have an operation? His heart. Trump for an operation. His heart. Let's have a look. As you know, I tend to pick with my eyes closed. I'm going to pull some clarifiers. Yeah. This is not, it's not good. Not good. Get some clarifiers on that card. Let's get some clarifiers on that card. Just pulling some clarifiers for the last card that came out. Aha! Knew it. Knew it. All right, here we go. The cards have been absolutely clear. Did he have some operation, etc., stuff like that? What's going on with himself? The devil. Yeah. This is all of Trump's old vices and everything catching up. What does this card talk about? It talks about addiction. It talks about impure attachments. It talks about being unable to move on. It talks about things like bipolar, sociopathy, all of this kind of stuff. This is literally talking, and this is like the culmination of Trump's life. All of his skullduggery, wrongdoings and vices and everything, all there on display. Yeah. And I asked if he's having an operation. Yeah. But look, we can see here it's to cover up. It's like he is a festering mess. They're probably trying to stop him going into multiple organ failure. That would be my instinct with that. We know about the dementia and the demise of the mind, that he's a sociopath. Yeah. We look here in the obstacle position. But this again is talking about money. Pages are all about messages. Pentacles deal with money and values. Yeah, you've heard me say before, but I really do feel that he's been drawing up the will. I think that's all been drawn up now, to be honest. He knows he probably doesn't have that long, and this is of course everything to do with the tariffs and all of the usual stuff, the ballroom, all of that. Yeah. If we look here, just in case we weren't sure, the Three of Pentacles comes back again. J.D. Vance got this in terms of what he's going to do with the presidency, executing the plans of Project 2025. I think this is Trump literally trying to secure the plans to get his ballroom built, yeah? Because this literally talks about what? Building something, you know, the architecture, the plans. So there's that. If we look here, though, we get the Page of Swords. Pages again talk about messages. So we see we've got more messaging coming out, but the Swords talks so much more about media, social media. This is him putting out his tweets. This could be more things coming out in the media about him. So apparently he's been named by some of these victims now. Yeah, there's that. If we look here, the thing that Trump fears, yeah, judgment. This is why he's trying to what? Grift, yeah. Trying to grift to get into heaven because he's worried about going to hell. Yeah. As I said before, he is having the dreams. Trump is having the dreams. He is in that phase of life now where he's getting a glimpse, yeah, of what might be to come, the judgment to come. Why else would he be grifting, asking for $15 to get into heaven? Because he's scared to you know what, because he knows that this is coming. Yeah, his life review. Anyway, pull some clarifiers. The Hierophant comes back. I think J.D. Vance got this card as well. So do you see here, there's this echoing here. Again, I think this is talking about Opus Dei and all of this kind of stuff. I think there's been people behind the scenes laying up their hands and saying, oh, please, Lord Jesus, blah, 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 save our President Day Trump, as all the crucifixes turn upside down and the lights start flashing and all of that kind of stuff. But I think he is literally, well, we know he said it. He's thinking about what? Heaven. He is thinking, do you know what? Oh, Trump being Trump, I bet you any money he's going to want some kind of blessing from the Pope. I bet you any money he might even be ringing up the Pope and be like, hey, can you kind of do something for me? Yeah. He probably wants indulgences like they used to do back in the day. I bet you any money he will call the Pope before he exits stage less, or wants the Pope at his funeral or something like that. We look here, he's feeling embattled, yeah? Embattled. We get the Nine of Wands, which talks about the person feeling a bit under siege, yeah? He's battling. He's battling with himself. Surprise, surprise. And then look at the outcome card. Do you remember I said, if the 5 of Pentacles turns up, I said, if 3 of Swords and 5 of Pentacles turn up, we know this being out in the cold. But it's not just that. This is the card that talks about poverty, but it's not just poverty. It talks about ill health. You can see here the man on the crutches who's struggling with the bare feet, and she's holding the shawl out in the cold. I think this is also how Trump is feeling as well when he saw the military parade that Xi Jinping put on. I mean, my God. That was pretty scary. Yeah, you see how they were walking, you know. Yeah, the goose stepping. Trump couldn't dream of having that in a million years. We saw what he got. Squeaky wheels, yeah, and some people holding drones like that because the military were like, screw you. It is not looking good, yeah. His outcome card is that. We all know it. We've all been saying it for ages, but I really do believe this is the transit where he's probably not going to be able to come back from this, particularly when that Jupiter hits his transiting Jupiter, becomes exalted in the sign of Cancer and stands still on Trump's Saturn in his 12th house of endings, hospitals, exile. And in there it will also be activating what? Venus, which is the wife, yeah, but it's all of, you know, 12th house is bed pleasures, by the way, and secrets, scandals. Yeah, Venus is women, young women in particular. And Pluto's there. Pluto's what? The dark side, the people trafficking. The 12th house deals with, literally, I always say to my clients, the 12th house deals with imports and exports, guys. It deals with money that comes from different areas and places. It's a very international house. It also deals with islands. That's why I call the 12th house the land of far, far away. He's been to what? Epstein's Islands. Done people trafficking, which is a form of what? Imports and exports. Do you see? But now he's getting this, yeah? And he's you know, starting to look at that Bible. You know, he's kind of at this bedside table. He's trying to choose between, you know, his Bible and Mein Kampf, or Mein Kampf and the Bible. Oh, which one am I going to try and read tonight? So it's, you know, not looking good for Duck L'Orange, but I don't want to keep repeating myself. And of course, everyone's going to keep asking. We can't wish death on people. Oh, my God, look what's at the base of the deck. You know, I talk about this card and I said, this card for me means more death than the actual death card. Look. Four of Swords. You saw me shuffle the deck, etc. I put the cards back in. I said, you know, we're not supposed to wish death on people. I turn it and I see, look here, at the base. Jupiter. Let's see what Jupiter brings. I will leave it there. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. It was 1,043 of you tonight. I think this is the first time I've gotten to 1,000 on my solo show. So thank you so much, everyone. Please, of course, be sure to like and subscribe and all that jazz. Sorry I was a little bit late today, but like I said, I missed a couple of trains. So I lost about half an hour. Thank you so much, Veronica, for your kind donation. Much appreciated. I need to do a financial astrology update soon, don't I? I'm going to have to find time to get one in because there's a lot to talk about in the economy, the ending of de minimis and all of this stuff. But I will leave it there for now. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. I hope you found that interesting. Yeah, gosh. Trump's cards at the end, you could see it for yourself. You don't even have to be a tarot reader to understand what's going down with him. And then when you combine it with the astrology, ooh, you're in danger, girl. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you, everyone, so much. Big love. And I will catch you soon. All right. Bye-bye for now. Cheers.